It's a sunny Sunday at Silverstone, and it's the second race of the weekend coming up next for the Ginetta GT Academy on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Their first race yesterday was a very tight battle between James Nicholas, Jamie Cordle and Charlie Digby, and a busy Silverstone, a lot of spectators piling into the circuit, a lot of them for the main event, I'm sure, the Silverstone 500 to come a little bit later on today, but those who have made their way trackside are set to enjoy what should be a really close race again, if yesterday's first encounter of the weekend is anything to go by. As I said, a three-way battle between Nicholas, Cordle and Digby, but a late safety car brought some of the rookies into play as well. Sam Shrimpton was briefly battling with Charlie Digby for third position, ended up getting shuffled back a little bit, but still held on to the rookie class win and continues to extend his championship lead. Cars making their way around to the grid then. They'll have a green flag lap and then the race will start with a 2x2 rolling start as per usual, so we've got a bit more time to reflect upon yesterday and take a look at what this all means for the early championship standings. I know it's early in the season, people often don't worry about the points until we get to the second half of the year, but every race is worth the same amount of points in Ginetta GT Academy, and it's important to see who the early pace setters are, but actually it's been remarkably evenly matched. There have been 2 wins so far for Charlie Digby, 1 apiece for Jamie Cordle and James Nicholas. James Nicholas there will start on pole position for our second race of the weekend, and won yesterday's race, his first victory of the season, and that means he's now only 15 points behind well, this man, funnily enough, Charlie Digby, who is the championship leader, starts alongside James Nicholas on the front row for this race. Charlie Digby, who stole an early march with those 2 wins at Donington last time out, only 9 points ahead of Jamie Cordle, actually, so the top 3 covered by 15 points only. In the rookie class, Sam Shrimpton is rather further ahead, 40 points clear of Alan Wright. Not saying that it's just a formality for him now, this rookie championship, but if he keeps going the way he is, I think he'll be more interested in whether or not he can win a race outright than whether he can add to his tally at the moment of 3 class wins. The only race that he didn't win in the rookie category was the middle race at Donington, where he finished second to Shiv Sapra. Shiv Sapra, in fairness, has been giving Sam a little bit of a tough time this weekend. They've been pretty evenly matched. Shiv has a race win to his credit, as I said, but also has been a little bit more inconsistent, had a non-finish in the first round of the championship at Donington Park. That will be taken care of with drop scores later in the season, but if Shiv can find a bit more consistency, I think he has got the pace to take the battle to the current rookie championship leader. The Ginetta G56 safety car then leads the GT Academy field off the grid. It'll be a 25-minute race as it was yesterday because they only have 2 races, the GT Academy Championship, unlike juniors who have 3. So slightly shorter race distance at 25 minutes. Yesterday they got 10 laps in, but as I said, that did include a safety car partway through the race. That safety car was brought out by Gilbert Verdian, who had a spin. I think it was this part of the circuit, actually got beached on the curb on the edge of the racetrack. The marshals were quite quickly able to get him back going, and he was able to finish the race. James Nicholas finished that race out in front, though, and claimed his first victory of the season. He will start on pole position for the second race as well, alongside championship leader Charlie Digby. Sam Shrimpton, the rookie leader, and Jamie Cordle have row number 2 to themselves, with Alex Deaton and Shiv Sapra, the 2 Paradigm by Zentech teammates, sharing the third row of the grid. To see how Shiv Sapra goes in this race. Deaton looked quick at time yesterday too. Joe Edge and Louis Darling, they're together on row number 4, a rookie alongside a GTA class driver, whilst Mike West, whose race ended in the Luffield gravel trap yesterday, has Peter Thompson for company, the man with whom he tangled. Alan Wright, second in the rookie championship, Alan Wright, but only 4th in class on the grid. He's 11th overall, alongside Robin Grimwood on row number 6. Chris Babington was an impressive debutant yesterday until a late spin saw him fall down the order. Whilst Lucy Hodgson will be there on row 7 with Chris, Damien Duffy and Gilbert Verdian, who brought about that safety car yesterday, start together on row number 8. So, cars making their way around, weaving to try and generate some temperature in the tyres. It's a fairly warm day though today. I would imagine the track temperature is creeping up into the high 20s now. There's a bit of a breeze blowing across the circuit, but it's pretty perfect conditions at the moment for racing. A few scattered clouds in the distance, but it'll get pretty warm inside the cars over the course of 25 minutes. It's a physically demanding circuit, is the Silverstone Grand Prix layout. Lots of medium and high-speed corners. Mike Simpson, who was in the commentary box with me yesterday for the Ginetta GT Championship race, said that it's the G-forces, very high G-forces through the long sweeping corners here that really do put some strain on the drivers. We'll get to see the driver's eye view from a couple of our onboard cameras which we're cycling through here. Mike West in the number 42 car, hoping to bounce back from that disappointment yesterday. He was battling for the Chairman's Cup lead, actually, and was in contention for the win at the time when he had that spin at the final corner and ended up in the gravel trap. But Mike will be starting this one from the 5th row of the grid. He is the highest placed of the Chairman's Cup drivers on the grid. Alongside him, Peter Thompson also entered into that category. So, lights off on the safety car. Still Charlie Digby is weaving around. He will know the significance here, I think, of trying to get the lead early. Whilst it was a close battle between the leading three yesterday, there wasn't any overtaking between them, really. James Nicholas was able to just control the race from the front because they were all so evenly matched on pace. It wasn't easy to find a way through once the race settled down. So, now, with that race under their belt and the knowledge that they picked up from that race, they can maybe... They might have to be a bit more aggressive at the start in order to gain that early trap position. So it could be a lively first few corners, this. Charlie Digby will want to try and improve upon third place yesterday, and he knows that the first 15 seconds or so of the race might be his best opportunity to get ahead of James Nicholas. Let's see whether he's able to do it then. 2 by 2 they run to the line. The red lights will go out shortly, and we'll be away and racing in round number 5 of the Ginetta GT Academy. Lights out now, off they go, and it is a good launch from both of the front row starters. Shiv Sapra has Alex Deaton muscling through the middle. Deaton from the 3rd row with a good start, but it's door handle to door handle for the race lead. Digby trying to go right round the outside of James Nicholas, and that could just work. He'll have some momentum down the straight towards Beckett's. They're still, I think, absolutely level. It is, in fact, 3 wide for the race lead. Here comes Caudle. No, Caudle sensibly backs out of it. Digby doesn't, though, and charges round the outside to the race lead. Just keeps it on the racetrack, and Charlie Digby to the point. That was a brilliant move on cold tyres round the outside at Beckett's. That takes some bravery, but it worked a treat. So Charlie Digby to the lead of the race. It is Nicholas 2nd, Caudle in 3rd. You're on board with Alex Deaton, who I think has broken through into 4th place through all of that, having started 5th, so only 1 place gain, but the way he did it was very exciting, and it also was at the to the detriment of Sam Shrimpton, who, look, in the Palmer Sport-backed car, has lost the rookie lead to Shiv Sapra. So Shiv Sapra going with his Paradigm by Zentech teammate, Alex Deaton, and managing to get ahead of Shrimpton. That's a bit of a turn-up for the books. Down through the Vale we go for the first time, then into the club chicane. Bit of a move being attempted there by Robin Grimwood. Had to back out of that. That's Alan Wright, the orange and white number 77 car. We've had a spin. Who was that? Is that Shrimpton? Yes, it is. It's Sam Shrimpton off. So Shrimpton, he had a bit of a lock-up going into Stowe, I noticed. And then a corner or two later, the car has gone for a spin. So a rare mistake, actually, for Sam Shrimpton. He is in his first ever season of car racing. You have to expect the odd error. But they haven't really been coming so far for the rookie championship leader. Be interesting now to see what sort of progress he can make from the back of the field. At least it's the opening lap, so everyone's quite bunched together. But he has dropped a lot of positions as a result of that moment. Alex Deaton launches to the inside of Jamie Caudle, who tries to get the switch back and gets a little bit too aggressive on the loud pedal. He still goes back through, but that was a bit of a scrappy run through there. It's almost nearly side by side for the lead of the race. James Nicholas trying to come back at Charlie Digby. This 3rd place battle has allowed the leading 2 to get away. There is Nicholas hunting around on the inside line, but not quite close enough to make a move into Brooklands. Caudle keeping deep behind for now. But Charlie Digby, having hit the front, doesn't look terribly comfortable, does he? He was wide through Brooklands' corner there. So James Nicholas doing all of this weaving around in the mirrors is maybe putting off the race leader slightly. That's Mike West off. That's Mike West off at Luffield. Well, that's where he ended up off yesterday. He hasn't made the gravel this time. Luckily hasn't made the barriers either, so should be able to select first gear and carry on. So a very lively opening lap of the race. Couple of big stories. Mike West has continued. Is the car damaged? Doesn't look to be. So hopefully he will be able to continue on in the race. Yeah, looks like he's getting back up to speed as he heads out of Luffield corner. Leaders then at Beckett's, and Digby is now starting to put some time into James Nicholas. Caudle doing his best to shake off Deaton. Then it's Louis Darling there in 5th position, the all-white car, and Joe Edge behind. So Joe Edge, where has Shiv Sapra gone? Shiv Sapra's dropped down to the back of the field as well. That was Deaton muscling his way past his teammate Sapra at the start of the race, and managing to get through ultimately. This is what happened to Mike West down into Brooklands. Is there a car to our inside? Oh no, there's a car in front though, and that was Shiv Sapra. So that answered my question. Sapra had a spin and Mike West lost it in avoidance. So That was really unfortunate for Mike West. Nothing really he could do there. He was unsighted, and I only caught a glimpse of the Shiv Sapra car at the very last moment. It would have been exactly the same for Mike. And he just sort of threw the car into a spin because it was the only option, really, to avoid the collision. So, Joe Edge leads in the rookies then. Alan Wright is second, and Sam Shrimpton back into a class podium now. And he's not far behind Alan Wright either, only a second or so. So Shrimpton could still win the class if he carries on this way. This, meanwhile, for the overall race lead. James Nicholas, through the middle part of the lap, has been quicker than the leader. Jamie Cordle in third, though, quicker than both of them on this lap in both of the first two sectors. So Cordle having shaken off Deaton now. Going after the leaders. There is Shrimpton going through ahead of Peter Thompson. A couple of those that were towards the tail end of the field. Leaders changed. Nicholas has gone through. So I don't know if that was a mistake for Digby or whether James made a move at the loop, but either way, it's car 99 that leads them down the Wellington straight. Digby back to the outside, though, as they hit the brakes. Can he go right round the outside? Answer no, because Nicholas carries more speed in, drifts wide on the exit, but that gives him the inside line for Luffield corner. And unless Charlie Digby can execute a brilliant switchback here, I think James Nicholas will hang on to the advantage for now. This battle has well and truly brought Jamie Cordle into play. So it's 3 for the lead as they head out of Woodcote Corner at the end of lap number 2. Well, sort of said that yesterday they struggled to overtake each other. They're having no such issues in race 2, are they? This is brilliant stuff. James Nicholas, again, defends into Copse Corner, and that will leave him a little bit wide and a little bit slow on the exit. So Digby has a chance now to try and close back in as they head towards Beckett's, where he initially took the lead on the opening lap. This time around, he has to sit at the wheel tracks of James Nicholas, the race leader, as they wind through this sequence of medium speed switchbacks. Take you then out onto the back straight. So James Nicholas might not be running with the same livery as Jamie Cordle, but they are both E3 Sport teammates. So Digby a little bit outnumbered here in the MDD racing car. The meat in the sandwich. But Digby, that championship lead, only 9 points. It is 9 points over Cordle, not Nicholas. So at the moment, Jamie Cordle is the bigger threat in the championship, but James only 15 points back as well in third. I know it's early days, but it really does look like these three are going to be the three contesting the championship. And based on what we've seen so far this season, there is nothing to choose between them. So every race is an opportunity to outscore your rival. And that will very much be in the minds of all three of these drivers as they do battle for a race victory. It's not just about claiming that winner's trophy, but the 35 championship points that come with it. You get a bonus point for a fastest lap as well. That would be going to Cordle right now, who is on the attack as they head towards Village, forces Digby to defend. That takes the pressure off James Nicholas for now. Turn round the right-hander at Village, then the left-hand hairpin at the loop. There's no way through on the inside for Cordle on the way in. What about his exit? It looks a little bit better than Digby, in fairness. Digby had a little bit of a wobble as he tried to get onto the accelerator. So as they head down the Wellington straight, it is nose to tail for second position. Jamie Cordle, is he going to think about the move at Brooklands? He is thinking about it. Look, just sort of peels over halfway across the circuit, just putting the idea in the mind of Charlie Digby that the attack might be coming, hoping that that might lead to a mistake for Digby, but no mistake came as they now head around Luffield turn. And they're pretty equidistantly spread again now, these leading three. So it calms down briefly at the front of the field. James Nicholas, Charlie Digby and Jamie Cordle. Alex Deaton a little bit lonely in fourth position. Louis Darling still in fifth, I believe. There is Darling. In fact, Darling may not be fifth for much longer because the rookie leader, Joe Edge, is up the inside into Copse Corner and has gone through. So Joe Edge gains another place, or does he? Runs wide on the exit. Darling comes back at him. Now, in a way, this is a fight that Edge doesn't really need to be having because it's with a car that's not in the same class as him, but he wants to try and finish as well as he can in the overall order and put as many cars between himself and the two cars in the background because they are very much in the same class as him, Alan Wright and Sam Shrimpton, who are now together battling for second place in class. So important really for Edge if he feels that he's got the pace to get away, especially if he thinks that he's quicker than Louis Darling. It's quite important that he puts the pressure on and tries to move through. Speaking of putting the pressure on, Charlie Digby doing just that to James Nicholas. Around Stowe Corner for the fourth time. Gap came down by 4/10 in the first sector, so no doubt that Digby was quicker through that portion of the lap. He couldn't be a lot closer to James Nicholas as they turned through the club chicane. Black and white warning flag, by the way, to Louis Darling for exceeding track limits. Because so far, keeping themselves out of trouble with the stewards. Let's hope that continues as this battle further intensifies now. We're ticking towards half-race distance. Charlie Digby asking some serious questions now of James Nicholas. There's a mistake from the leader there. He missed the apex slightly at Abbey. Drifted wide over the curb. There's a gap up the inside and Digby commits to it. Can he get the car stopped? I think he can. So Charlie Digby back to the lead. There's no way back through for Nicholas into the loop. He will try and get a good switch back on the exit, which he has. Terrific stuff. James Nicholas back to the inside of Charlie Digby. And that was 2 lead changes in 2 corners. But the job is not done just yet. Digby is still there and carries a bit more momentum around the outside at Aintree and down the Wellington Straight. James Nicholas stays well clear of Digby, in fairness, not trying to catch any sort of side draft down the Wellington Straight. What this is doing, of course, is bringing Jamie Cordle back onto their tail. Nicholas back to the lead at Brooklands. And all of a sudden, they're all back together again. This is brilliant racing. One of the best GT Academy races I've ever seen, actually. Just the constant changing of position at the front of the field. So far, no major mistakes made by any of them. This is Ginetta GT Academy racing at its best. It is James Nicholas who holds on to the advantage with 15.25 minutes to go. He's going to have a lot more defending to do between now and the checkered flag, that's for sure. In fact, that starts at Copse Corner. He goes in on the tight line again. That means that Digby has an opportunity to carry more speed off the turn. Actually outfoxed Nicholas a bit there, got to his outside as they head towards Beckett's. Cordle's trying to join in as well. Digby, this is how he got the lead on lap 1. Is he going to do it again? No, Nicholas tries to contest and he's right up the curb at Beckett's, but Digby goes back by again. And I think Digby learned from what happened on the opening lap of the race there. He had a much better run off Copse Corner, could have gone to the right-hand side of the road, which would be the inside for Beckett's, but he remembered lap 1, the outside was the place to be, and it worked a treat for him again. So Charlie Digby back to the lead. That's our 3rd lead change in less than a lap, and James Nicholas might make it a 4th now at Stowe Corner. No, Digby chops across his nose and defends the place into the right-hander. Oh, collision further back. Shiv Sapra, I think, has already had that damage from his earlier issue, and that's the 55 that he's tangled with Chris Babington. Here comes Nicholas. No way through on the inside at Club. Could he get the car stopped? He was all out of shape under braking, but yes, they both make the corner of a fashion. I suspect Jamie Cordle will have a better run out of Club than the 2 cars ahead. Jamie might well be best served here, just keeping that little gap that he's got to the leading 2. Let them battle amongst themselves, and then you never know, something could fall into Cordle's lap. Especially if Nicholas is going to try and overtake into Abbey. That's not traditionally a place that you would make an overtake in these cars. Better to try and get the good exit and maybe make the move on Digby now that Digby made on him a lap ago into Village. Not going to happen for Nicholas because Digby did a better job there of defending the inside line. As they turn into the loop, order remains the same for now. You just get the feeling that it could change at any moment because no one's been able to get away. No one's been able to establish any sort of dominance out in front. Digby has pulled a bit of a gap through the loop there, though. Got off the corner better than James Nicholas. And so Jamie Cordle now pulls up behind him. So now the 2 teammates battle for 2nd place. Will Cordle let Nicholas hold on to 2nd for now? I think he will. So round Brooklands, it is still James Nicholas in 2nd place. And look, the benefit there of Jamie Cordle not giving James Nicholas a hard time, he had the chance to challenge him down the Wellington Straight because James was a bit slow out of the loop, but Jamie Cordle elected to sit behind his teammate, and that means Nicholas already has caught back up to the leader. This is what happened to Chris Babington. I think it was a bit of contact, more than a bit of contact with Shiv Sapra. So that damage on Sapra's car was fresh when we saw it, and it was as a result of that contact with Babington. Here's the reverse angle. Sapra carried a bit more speed into the left-hander, thought he saw a gap, but I fear that will be frowned upon. And we'll may well see Shiv Sapra get a bit of a telling off for that. Anyway, they both carried on, and actually probably Babington came out of it better because his car isn't damaged as Sapra's is. Leaders then head down the Hanger Straight. What's going on, guys? It's been at least a lap since we had a lead change. We must be overdue one. James Nicholas, though, I don't think is close enough to make that happen. Into Stowe Corner, drop downhill at the end of the Hanger Straight. Road then sort of carries on uphill again into the right-hander itself. Easily goad you into carrying a bit too much speed into the turn, but they all carried the right line that time. In the background, you can see Alex Deaton still 4th. Joe Edge now a comfortable 5th, still leading in the rookie class. There is the rookie championship leader, Sam Shrimpton. So he's got past Alan Wright. He's also just gone past Peter Thompson. So Shrimpton is now up into 8th overall. But at the start of the lap was, well, actually only about 2-3 seconds adrift of Joe Edge. 3 seconds almost. there is Edge, the second of the red cars, and Shrimpton is only 2 places behind. If Shrimpton can get past Louis Darling quickly, there's still nearly 11.5 minutes left in this race for Shrimpton to try and chase down Edge. So the rookie class lead might yet change again before the end of the race, as might the overall race lead, because Digby is wide up the curb again out of the loop. James Nicholas will be loving seeing that. Sensing an opportunity maybe to have a go down the Wellington Straight. A very wide line there for Digby, really opening the steering up through Aintree, trying to minimise any loss of momentum through the flat-out left-hand kink. Then dives into the corner at Brooklands. Oh, the leader's car a little bit sideways maybe at the apex, but he rotates it nicely through the turn. Not making friends with the apex at Luffield, but that's the kind of corner where you can go in wide and then cut back to the late apex, sort of diamond the corner off. That straightens up the steering wheel on exit, means you can get to full throttle a little bit more quickly. Here's Shrimpton, by the way, up the inside of Louis Darling. Did this work? Well, maybe. They're still side by side as they came out of Village. That then put Shrimpton on the outside into the loop. And for now, I think Louis Darling has stayed in front, so Shrimpton had a go, but wasn't able to complete the pass. Shiv Sapra, his race unfortunately going from bad to worse. He's now picked up a 5-second penalty for track limits, so Shiv Sapra already down in 12th position, 4th of the rookies. 5-second penalty will, well, at the moment, actually not cost him a position, because he's 7 seconds or so ahead of Mike West, the recovering Mike West. There is the recovering Chris Babington. Babington going quite slowly down the Hanger Straight, maybe just to get out of the way of the leaders, but it could be that he's nursing some damage after that collision with Sapra. Screeching of tyres as they round Stowe. So what I will say is that all the time that Nicholas was in the lead, you always kind of got the feeling that Digby was putting him under constant pressure, and Nicholas was always having to defend, and the race never really settled down. As soon as Digby's hit the front and got into a rhythm, as much as he's not dropping James Nicholas, he hasn't had to really defend too much from the 99 car, yesterday's winner. There's that group of cars battling further back. This is for 6th position overall. There are 2 GTA class drivers in this group and 2 rookies. Sam Shrimpton and Alan Wright, 24 and 77, they're 2nd and 3rd respectively in the rookie class, but Shrimpton really wants to get past Louis Darling here to go after Joe Edge. The quicker he makes this move, the quicker he'll get himself back into clean air, and the quicker, in theory, he'll be able to go up the inside into Village. He tried this a lap ago. Is it going to be the same end result? I suspect it might be, because I think Louis Darling has managed to fend him off, and actually Shrimpton was very slow at the apex, then has to cover off Peter Thompson as they turn into the loop. So, example there of how a failed overtake can sometimes end up costing you a place. Shrimpton held on to 7th place, which he claimed from Peter Thompson a lap ago, but only just. Leaders, nose to tail. They're dropping Caudle slightly now as we come through with 8 minutes and 10 seconds left on the clock, so still a handful of laps to go. And now that Nicholas isn't having to watch his mirrors so much, will this free him up to have a big attack on Charlie Digby? Sense that he'll only have one opportunity to do that, though, before then Caudle will close back in. So, got to be decisive here. Something James Nicholas will have learned from his debut season of racing last year, when he was in this car, the Palmer Sport backed entry, which has just moved ahead of Louis Darling in the hands of Sam Shrimpton. But Darling is coming back at him now as we head towards Beckett's. They're side by side again, and the 25 car's got the inside line. And yeah, Shrimpton not able to do what Digby's done to Nicholas a couple of times in this racing around the outside. He gives a bit of a tap in the tail to Darling. Not enough to properly unsettle car 25, but just to let him know that he's still there. And it's put a little bit of a hole in the front of the 24 car. That won't hurt him too much aerodynamically. Indeed, with a slipstream and a good run onto the Hanger Straight, he's able to get back alongside now, the outside line into Stowe. Nose is ahead, but can he go right round the outside? Louis Darling is late on the brakes. They almost bang wing mirrors. But this, again, has been a good example of side-by-side racing between these two. You would not believe that this is only Sam Shrimpton's 5th ever motor race. And he's engaging in some brilliant, high-quality side-by-side action. He's up the inside again now into Club. Very brave on the brakes, gives Louis Darling the squeeze. Darling's up the curb. We cut away because the leader's almost changed at Abbey, but it is still Digby in front. Wonder what happened with that battle down at Club. We'll catch up with him in a moment. Here comes the battle for the lead. Charlie Digby really having to defend now from James Nicholas, but look, one attack from Nicholas, one defensive move from Digby, and it's brought Caudle onto their tail. They're both wide, and Caudle in his excitement nearly loops it on the inside line at the loop, and that cost him a chance to move into second place. He almost could have had the lead there if he'd have got off the corner quicker. I don't think he could quite believe what he was seeing. The leaders both nearly, leading two, both nearly driving off the circuit. And Caudle probably thought his luck was in there, but a little bit too excitable on the loud pedal as contact, and now it is going to fall into Caudle's lap. Around they both go, and James Nicholas and Charlie Digby, well, what a shame. It had been such a clean battle until that point. And I said about 5 or 6 minutes ago, if Jamie Caudle just sits there and lets them battle, then it could fall into his lap, and that's exactly what has happened. Now, have they both carried on is the question. Yes, I think they have. That's James Nicholas recovering. Digby, I think, has already got going. Sam Shrimpton, meanwhile, has got ahead of Louis Darling, but Peter Thompson is ahead of both of them, so that's been a big sort out as well. It all came to a head then with about 6 minutes to go in the race, and that will be another talking point post-race. I'm sure we'll get a replay of it. Hard to apportion blame from our perspective. Thankfully, that's not our job, but it was certainly a tough battle until that point. A real shame it ended this way. Here we go. So Nicholas is quite a long way back, in fairness. Sails into the corner, and we can't really tell whether he made the apex from there, but he certainly wasn't alongside going into the braking zone, was he? What a shame. So Digby carried on. Where is Digby? Digby's still third, actually, so Charlie Digby got back on the road ahead of Joe Edge, so he's still in an overall podium place. James Nicholas came across the line in 5th, which is where he still is. But I'm now intrigued to know what happened between Shrimpton and Darling. Oh, off has gone Mike West again. Mike West returning to what I'm afraid has been his natural habitat this weekend, the gravel trap. It's his second gravelly excursion of the weekend, and that likely will yield his second non-finish of the weekend too. But yeah, this battle, which is raging again now. Wonder has this got something to do with Mike West being in the gravel trap, because that's the same gravel trap that Shiv Sapra now finds himself in. This battle continues to rage on. Peter Thompson, though, somehow has found his way to the front of it. And with James Nicholas and Louis Darling, sorry, with Sam Shrimpton and Louis Darling battling behind. It's Peter Thompson who's got his mirrors full and his hands full as he tries to hang on to 6th position. This would be a really good result for Peter Thompson if he can hang on to it. Got 4 minutes left of the race. Here comes Shrimpton. Where's Shrimpton going? He's off the road, is he? Surely. Yes, I think he was. Sam Shrimpton nearly lost it completely and ends up handing second place in the rookie category back to Alan Wright. But that was a very wayward moment for Shrimpton. It was very close to what happened to Torrin Byrne in the Ginetta Junior race earlier on. Once you get on that grass on driver's right, it's very difficult to get the car back under control. And luckily, Sam Shrimpton managed to do just that, but he's lost second place in class. Alan Wright gets into the back of Louis Darling. It's all getting very tough out there at the moment in race number 2. Peter Thompson turns across the nose of Darling, whilst behind, Shrimpton is back ahead of Alan Wright, but drifts wide on the exit of Brooklands. Will hang on, though, I think, into Luffield Corner. Great racing. Drivers not leaving a lot on the table, are they, in this second Ginetta GT Academy race of the weekend? There are 2 laps to go. There are yellow flags at Copse Corner for obvious reasons, that being one of them. Shiv Sapra is still in the car. You can see him looking around, thinking, well, come on then, guys, are you going to tow me out of the way? He would probably be better served getting out of that car, I would suspect. Mike West's car, yeah, that's being... so Mike West's been given priority use of the recovery vehicle, as Shiv Sapra just has to sit and wait his turn. Chris Babington doing his best to stay out of the way and not really succeeding in doing so, but he had to turn into the corner at some point, I suppose. Peter Thompson anxious to get by. Now there's a gap to the inside. Babington pulls well out of the way, in fact drives off the racetrack. And, well, that's one way of getting out of the way of lead lap cars, Chris. But that did delay Peter Thompson. Oh, Alan Wright stopping in the background. Alan Wright, 3rd place in the rookie class, pulling over to the side of the road. Louis Darling, meanwhile, is to the inside of Peter Thompson. There is Alan Wright. Not sure what's gone on there. He's sort of gesticulating around in the car. I don't think he knows what's happened there either. What's happened here? Louis Darling is ahead of Peter Thompson. Alan Wright is getting out of the car. I can see them stopping this early because we've now got 3 cars at least stricken at the side of the road, and that one is right on the edge of the road as well at a high-speed part of the circuit. So we'll see whether or not they elect to throw an early checkered flag. That is an option that race control has if they realise that they're going to need to throw a safety car within the final couple of minutes of the race. in a way, there isn't much point, is there? Because the race is going to end behind the safety car anyway. This is what happened with West and Sapra. West to the inside. Oh! Sapra turned in, and there was a car there. And West ended up losing control spectacularly as well. That was a very odd moment. Don't think Shiv Sapra realised that Mike West was there, or maybe thought that Mike had cleared him, and he hadn't done. So, deep breath, everyone. The last lap is about to begin if they elect to let the final lap run. I think they're going to, actually. The yellow flags are still waving. Jamie Cordle really can't believe his luck now, the way that this race has panned out. Jamie Cordle, with that one win in the second race at Donington last time out, is going to repeat that feat at Silverstone. Shiv Sapra, you can see, is out of that number 8 car now. They're just going to leave it there under yellow flags, I think, until the end of the race. So through goes the leader. The next car is Gilbert Verdi and a lap down, but the red and black car, that is second place man Alex Deaton, and he's been caught by Charlie Digby. So Charlie Digby could still end up second place here, and that could prove to be really beneficial at the end of the season. Valuable points on offer. They negotiate Gilbert Verdi, and on the run down towards Beckett, blue flags were waving. Of course, they couldn't overtake him at Copse because it was a yellow flag zone. They're now heading into another yellow flag zone. Oh, and, well, it's just as well, really, because Deason went very wide there, and I think otherwise, without the yellow flag, Digby would have probably gone alongside. They head out onto the hangar straight. Now they can race again. But Digby, I don't think, is really close enough to make a move, is he? He's in the slipstream. Joe Edge in the background is still the rookie class leader, by the way. Sam Shrimpton, with all of that time lost with the battle he's been having with Louis Darling, is not likely to catch him now. 7.5 seconds behind he was going on to this final lap. Car 25. Louis Darling, by the way, being given a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. That will knock him down a couple of places, I think, in the overall order. Right, second place battle through the club chicane. Alex Deaton, who has had one podium finish only. That was a third place in that second race at Donington. So if he can hang on to second, this would be a season best finish. But that will take some doing. Charlie Digby, a fired up Charlie Digby, I would imagine, is really going to want to try and salvage something out of this race. I've always said that you win championships not on your good days, but on the days where things don't quite go to plan. Charlie Digby will argue that he should have won this race. He was in the lead at the time that he had the contact with James Nicholas, of course. But if he can salvage second, that could be really valuable. He's on the inside. He's into the side of Deaton. They've tangled at the loop. Has that damaged? Yes, it has. It's damaged the right rear suspension on the number 14 car. And Charlie Digby's got to try and limp home now. Deaton surely should be able to pick him off down the Wellington straight. And that was a little bit of hot-headedness maybe there from Digby. There was a gap, but it was only just about a car's width. And he needs to be a bit careful turning into Brooklands, because the rear of that car could collapse completely if he carries on going at speed. All of this happening well behind our race leader, and now second-time race winner of the season, Jamie Cordle, who inherits a very well-deserved victory, though, because he's one of the few drivers out there who stayed out of trouble in that race. Alex Deaton, with the wing mirror pointing the wrong way, is going to finish second, or is he? Joe Edge might get him by the line. I don't think he's quite going to get there. Deaton it is who will survive that last lap skirmish to finish in second place. Joe Edge in third is the rookie winner. And James Nicholas, amazingly, will come home fourth, but that's a class podium. After all of the drama that he was involved in that race, James Nicholas still ends up in third. But well, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that race. That was remarkable. Jamie Cordle will be delighted that he came through that. Oh, Digby isn't going to make the flag. So it's going to be a non-finish for Digby, and to complete the point that I was starting to make when it all kicked off on the final lap, you win championships on your bad days. It's all about maximising the points. If you can't win, finish second. If you can't finish second, finish third. And at the very worst there, Charlie Digby had an opportunity to finish second and ends up scoring no points at all. So here's a replay of what happened. It was a slide for Deaton that sort of invited Digby up the inside, and then they just met on the apex. Again, very hard to apportion any blame, but the end result is that the damage was done to the 14 car. Charlie Digby, the right rear suspension damaged. In hindsight, maybe if he'd have slowed down, the car might have made it to the checkered flag, who knows, but he didn't make it to the checkered flag. He wasn't the only one, in fairness. That was quite a race of attrition. Very entertaining, though, that is for sure. And Jamie Cordle notches up his second victory of the season. And because Digby didn't finish, that will give him the championship lead. So Jamie Cordle will be your new championship leader now as they head to Alton Park in May. They'll have 3 races at Alton Park, 3 at Snetterton, They have a bit of a break through the second half of the year. They're back then for the final 2 British GT rounds at Brands Hatch and Donington Park. So we're actually, that's the end of round 5 of 17. So we're about a third of the way nearly through the season already. And Jamie Cordle moves to the front of the championship standings. So Jamie Cordle with his second win of the year and 18-second winning margin, which does not do that race justice at all. Alex Deaton is second, Joe Edge in third wins the rookie class, then it was James Nicholas fourth, and Sam Trimpton in fifth position was second of the rookies home. Peter Thompson, a really hard-fought and well-deserved top 6 ahead of Louis Darling, who got a track limits penalty. Robin Grimwood, Lucy Hodgson and Damien Duffy complete the top 10. And then Charlie Digby was not running at the flag, so he'll be counted as a DNF. Gilbert Verdian and Chris Babington were. Alan Wright pulled over towards the end of the race, and Mike West and Shiv Sapra retired into the Cops Corner gravel trap. What a race the Ginetta GT Academy drivers have just put on for us here at Silverstone. Their second and final race of the weekend. And it was, as expected really, for much of it, a 3-way fight at the front between the top 3 in the championship. James Nicholas and Charlie Digby, with Jamie Cordle keeping a watching brief as Digby charged round the outside of Nicholas and Beckett's on lap 1 to claim the early race lead. From there, though, Charlie was never really able to get away, and James Nicholas was constantly hounding him and would eventually make a move for the lead of the race. Always aware, though, that Jamie Cordle wasn't far back. It was a mistake for Digby at the loop that initially opened the door for Nicholas. And Digby then had to go back round the outside at Beckett to repeat the manoeuvre he made at the start of the race. Chris Babington was tipped into a spin after this contact with Shiv Sapra. That wouldn't be the last drama for either driver in the race. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, James Nicholas went for an ambitious move at Brooklands, clattered into the side of Digby. They both spun and handed the win on a plate to Jamie Cordle. Shiv Sapra then collided with Mike West at high speed at Cops Corner. They both ended up retiring into the gravel trap, and Mike West very lucky not to make significant contact with the barriers. On the final lap, a recovering Digby clattered into the side then of Alex Deaton, broke the right rear suspension, and that would lead to a non-finish for the erstwhile championship leader. The championship lead now, though, taken by Jamie Cordle, who claimed his second victory of the season.